Well, the historical precedent of slavery, I think, is actually rather a good one, because there was a time when it was simply the norm. Everybody did it. Some people did it with gusto and relish. Other people, like Jefferson, did it reluctantly. I would have probably done it reluctantly, and I'd sort of just gone along with what society does. But I think it's extremely hard. It was hard to defend then, yet everybody did it. And that's the sort of position I find myself in now. And I think what I'd really like to see is people like you having a far greater effect upon, I would call it consciousness raising, really. Having and try to swing it round so that it becomes the societal norm not to eat meat.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what you're talking about is the pressure of social conformity. And I think we're very much a conforming animal. And it's very hard to do things sometimes against the prevailing norms. And that's why it was hard for people who had some scruples or doubts about slavery to actually imagine that they could abolish it and live without. So I think that's, we are making it more acceptable. I think in a way the animal movement is making progress. I mean, you can walk into any supermarket here and you'll find meat substitutes, meat alternatives, vegetarian dishes. You'll find soy milk, of course, and so on. So it's getting easier and it's getting more socially acceptable. And I think we just have to somehow get past that threshold where it won't be a difficult decision for people to make at all. It'll simply be something that they can see lots of people do, and they'll feel better doing it, and gradually it will become a thing of the past, as slavery has now become a thing of the past.
I suppose another thing might be that as it becomes socially the norm, great chefs will develop wonderful recipes. I mean, the problem with vegetarian food at the moment is a lot of it isn't very nice.
Well, it's got better, I think. It's got, I've been a vegetarian now for 35 years.
Yes.
And when I started, you could certainly have said that, and there were some dreadful things around that people ate, and I was living in Oxford, and English cooking was certainly not very good at vegetarianism. But now, we have some great restaurants in this city, for example. There's some terrific vegan restaurants as well as vegetarian, where I think, you and any other meat eater would really enjoy the food. Yeah. So we're getting to that point, I think.
What's the connection of Darwin with what we've been talking about, speciesism and so on?
I think what Darwin did was to knock out a lot of the foundations for thinking that we humans are so special and that therefore we can do what we do to animals. I mean, previously it made more sense maybe to believe that we were created by God, and the biblical account that actually says, well, we were created last and we were given dominion over the animals, and we were made in the image of God and they weren't. But if you accept an evolutionary account, then of course that's nonsense. We were not created in the image of any deity, and we were not, nobody gave us permission to use them. We just evolved together with them from common ancestors. And, in terms of rights, they have as much right to live and enjoy their lives as we have to live and enjoy our lives. So it just undercuts all of that separation, and then stresses the continuity and the similarities, which, as we were talking about, include the capacity to suffer.